A very good evening. This is Hugo Tan here, and I just received a very interesting question that I think could benefit many of you, especially many of you that are presenting. So I just received a call from my friend. She says that, Hugo, I'm going to have a presentation very soon. I know you have been speaking around in many places. Do you have like 2 to 3 quick tips that can help me to improve my presentation? And I've been thinking about it, and I was like, okay, I will think about it and I will let you know. So I think this really fits this Facebook Live that we are doing now. I think it could benefit you as well. If you are going to speak in public, whether to speak in a meeting or to a group of people, or speaking to your team of salespeople, or perhaps you are a teacher or a lecturer, this could help as well. So here are the 5 things that I believe if you practice them, you can have much bigger impact. Number 1, you got to humanize it. People love stories. You know, many times when we are public speaking, it feels as if an eternity because you are spitting facts after facts after facts. People get bored, you know. Throw in some stories, right? Your personal experience. For instance, the first time that I speak to public, I have like butterflies in my belly, right? I'm so nervous, my legs are shaking. It doesn't help, right? It doesn't help. And the teacher that time was like, Hugo knows the answer, right? Hugo got to answer it. And I think that time there is like 50 people in the class. And I have my very slow stroll to the front where the whiteboard and projector is, the screen is, and I stand there. To be honest, I did have quite like a reputation of a good student back then. And to be honest again, I really don't know the answer to the question the teacher is asking, right? So let's just say what ensues is a very awkward situation of me not having confidence to speak in public, and secondly, I don't know the answer. People like stories like this because they relate, right? Many of us have experience not knowing the answer or feeling all anxious when speaking to the public the first time. So think in terms of stories. What stories can you tell that can convey your message instead of just telling a fact? So secondly, you want to personalize your message. For instance, if the message is about my friend just now, right? So let's just say, I'm not even sure whether I should say her name. Okay, let's just say her name is Jen, right? So I'm speaking to Jen, and Jen has been asking, Hugo, do you have any quick public speaking tips that I can take away to improve my presentation? You see, one of the ways to personalize it is that you give names. If in situations where it is not convenient to reveal the name of the particular person, out of respect for their privacy and stuff, just give an alternative name, right? And you can say, you just give a name. People can relate better if you personalize the thing. If you look at a lot of fables, right, and stories when we are younger, they even give names to moving furnitures. They even give names to animals, talking animals. They give names, right, like Bob, Bambi, because if they have a name, people can relate it to them better, right? So you want to consider this. So thirdly, you want to be like really specific. You want to think in terms of who, what, why, where, how, the 4W and 1H. You want to make sure your story really answers the 4W and 1H. The fourth, okay, so we have humanize it, we have personalize it, we have specify it. Now this is number 4, right? Number 4 is you need to dramatize it. If you can chop in a dialogue, right, like what I did just now, that would be great as well. Because people can see the interaction, the drama. Like I tell Jen, why don't you try this? And then Jen says, no, I can't do this, but how about this? And then I get back to her. People like to see this interaction in your story, so that will help as well. And the last point is you need to think in terms of the visuals, right? You need to help your audience to visualize it. Some of your audience have better response to visuals. Some has better response to movements. If there is a need for you to bring up props, right? Let's say what props do I have here, right? If there is a need to bring a prop if there's a need to bring a prop to your presentation, do bring it, right? Some people can connect better and remember better if there is a prop that you bring to your presentation. Like you try to illustrate a point and you say like, just like Mr. Potato, right? We buy this whole thing, we choose the flavors that we want, and upon opening it, what is it that you discover? You want to bring props to illustrate your point better. And lastly, so we kind of got, you got a 5 points here, right? Humanize it, tell your story, personalize it, give a name if you can, specify it, the 4W and 1H, dramatize it if you can put in some dialogues, some challenge, some interaction, some drama. And the fifth, you got to help your audience visualize it, right? Illustrate in terms of how does it feel like, how does it looks like, what do you hear in that situation. If you can tell all this together with a prop, if that's necessary, I think that would greatly improve your presentation. So with this sums up the 5 quick tips on how you can improve your presentation starting today. So if you have any comments and if you have any further questions, as usual, just DM me or WhatsApp me. I will be glad to answer when I have the time. Okay, so take care. This is Hugo Tan.